2, 3. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out the line, the man comes and take you away.
Check, check.
Hey, what's that sound? What's going on now? Hey, what's that
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Now she's here, you can take a break. Hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy alone. If you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy alone. If you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy alone. If you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm alone. If you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Give me all you got, don't hold me back. I'll warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Cause I'm happy alone. If you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy alone. If you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy alone. If you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy alone. If you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, cause I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you
Good morning, everybody. Let's try that one more time. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very, very, very much for being here today. Happy Academy Day. It is the 173rd birthday or anniversary of the California Academy of Sciences. And we're really excited to have you here. My name, for those of you who don't know, is Scott Sampson. Some of you may know me as Dr. Scott the paleontologist because for about a decade I hosted a show on PBS called Dinosaur Train. Today, though, I'm the executive director of the California Academy of Sciences, so I'm a really fortunate guy. And in my day job now, I don't get to talk about dinosaurs that often. So today I'm really excited. I'm probably more excited than you are that I get to come here and talk about dinosaurs. So are you ready to hear some cool things about dinosaurs? And if I ask you questions today, are you going to give me some answers? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to need help today getting through some of this, just so you all know. Okay, are we ready? Right, here we go. Let's start slides on the screens. And if you can't see, hopefully you can see, and if you can't, you can move back. But this picture, this is me a few years ago now, posing with my favorite dinosaur. and I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. Some of you are already going to know. If you know, don't say anything. I'm going to tell you, that is my favorite dinosaur today. When I was about 4 years old, this was my favorite dinosaur, and I have proof because I'm hugging the Stegosaurus. So, even at the age of 4, I wanted to be a paleontologist. There was a brief time in my life when I was about 4 when I could not spell my last name, but I could spell the word paleontology. And I learned at about that age that you could actually become a doctor of paleontology. And I thought, oh my gosh, like that is amazing. That's what I'm going to be when I grow up. And that's what I did. And if you're wondering why there's no color in this picture, you have to talk to the grown-up that you came with who will tell you why, okay? It's too long to try and explain. Now, some of you know that I hosted this show on PBS called Dinosaur Train, which has Buddy the Dinosaur and all kinds of other characters in it. And we got to travel all over the world and through time showing people dinosaurs. And Dinosaur Train as a show went all over the world, and it was such an amazing thing to be a part of. And I'm going to talk about some of the things that we highlighted in Dinosaur Train, and one of them is time. If you watch Dinosaur Train, you know that we traveled through time on a train, not the easiest thing to do necessarily, and we went to all the time periods the dinosaurs lived in. It's called the Mesozoic era, but it's divided up into, and if you know it, you can say it, the Triassic, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous. Now, dinosaurs showed up in the Triassic about 230 million years ago, but they stayed pretty small because there were actually other, even bigger reptiles around at that time that were not dinosaurs, but were actually more closely related to crocodiles, and dinosaurs stayed small until the Jurassic, which was about 200 million years ago. And then from 200 million years ago to about 150 million years ago is the Jurassic. And then from 150 million years ago to about 66 million years ago is the Cretaceous. So today, I am going to focus on the Jurassic, and you've all heard of the Jurassic from Jurassic Park. But many of the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park are from the Cretaceous. It's just that Cretaceous Park doesn't have as nice a ring to it as Jurassic Park. So we're going to talk about dinosaurs from both. And all these time periods, no matter where you went on Earth, you would find different sets of dinosaurs all over the place. And we're going to talk about them from pole to pole. But everywhere you went, you would find plant-eating dinosaurs. And what do we call plant-eating dinosaurs? What's the other word for that? If you eat plants, you are a herbivore, right? If you eat meat, that makes you a carnivore. And if you eat plants and meat, that makes you an omnivore. So I want you to keep that science hat on, because we're going to think about how the dinosaurs fit into these categories. So what are you? Are you a herbivore, a carnivore, or an omnivore? Most of us are omnivores, but some people are pretty much just herbivores. And there's the occasional crazy person who says, I just want to eat meat. I'm going to be a carnivore. But most of us eat both. All right, you ready? Here we go. You're going to help me, right? Okay, what's this dinosaur? We already seen it. It's Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus is this crazy animal that has big plates on its back that it probably used to show off and to cool down. And then it has these spikes on the end of its tail, and those spikes probably had a big function as well. Do you know what that was? Why would you have spikes on your tail? Yeah, probably protection. There was another dinosaur that lived at the time, and what does this animal eat? Yeah, and this is Allosaurus. And if you live in a world where the meat eaters are 30 feet long and they can run faster than you can run, you better have a way to protect yourself. So Stegosaur used its tail spikes, we think, and it could swing them around as a weapon to try and keep the allosaurs and other big meat eaters away from them. And again, if you were at a different place in the world other than North America, you'd see different kinds of dinosaurs at the same time. All right, anybody have an idea what this is? Who this is? Yes? Anyone? Yes? Oh, there, we actually have one here. Here we have a life-size Brachiosaurus. Okay, no, it's not life-size. Even when they hatched out of the egg, they'd be way bigger than this. So, Brachiosaurus was about 70 feet long, weighed about 50 tons, and its neck went up so its head was about 50 feet in the air. So they're just crazy big, like they would be as big as much of this room. So what did Brachiosaurus eat? Plants. Pretty hard to chase something down when you weigh 50 tons. So they could eat high in the trees with that long neck like that. And what's even crazier is that some paleontologists think that these dinosaurs, which the older people in the room will know as brontosaurs, the younger people in the room will know as sauropods. They're the same thing. And we think that they could rear up on their hind legs in some cases. So even if you think being 30 feet tall isn't big enough, some people feel they could rear up on their hind legs to scare away predators like Allosaurus. And you can imagine an Allosaurus going, I am not going anywhere near that thing, right? And they might do that to protect their babies. So Brachiosaurus was one of these incredible animals. Once they got to be full-sized, they probably didn't even need to worry about being attacked, but the younger ones would have had to worry about all those allosaurs. And it wasn't just allosaurs. At the same time, in North America, there was a dinosaur with a horn on its nose and one over each eye called Ceratosaurus. And if you were to go to other countries, you'd see different carnivores. There is one, this particular dinosaur is from Antarctica. Antarctica. So, how did it deal with all of the snow and ice? It didn't need to. In the age of dinosaurs, there were no polar ice caps because the whole world was warmer and all that ice melted and sea level went up. So you could walk around at the North Pole and the South Pole and find forests and dinosaurs, etc. This particular carnivorous dinosaur has this weird crest on its head that some people thought looked like the hair of Elvis Presley. So they called it the Elvis dinosaur. And on Dinosaur Train, we actually turned him into the king, Cryolophosaurus, and he could dance. So we had some fun with this particular dinosaur. So we're still in the Jurassic. Every single dinosaur I'm showing you comes from the Jurassic, what really should be in a Jurassic Park. One of the things that we see in the Jurassic is tyrannosaurs, but not Tyrannosaurus. Tyrannosaurus is a particular kind of tyrannosaur that lived in the Cretaceous time period, but Tyrannosaurs, the group, appeared, evolved in the Jurassic. And one of the earliest ones known is called Guanlong, found in China, with a crest on its head. But what's really cool is that Guanlong is covered in feathers. Now, I promise you, when I was a little kid, no one ever talked to me about dinosaurs having feathers. But it turns out that lots of dinosaurs had feathers, maybe even T-Rex. But Guanlong for sure, and Guanlong is like the ancestor of T-Rex, or at least very close to the ancestor. And then wrapping up the Jurassic here, there's this weird animal that is famous. Maybe the most famous fossil in the world is from this animal. It's at a museum in Berlin, and the animal is called Archaeopteryx. And you look at that and you go, well, that's just a funky looking bird. But it isn't. Archaeopteryx has many bird-like features, including feathered wings, but it also has it has teeth like a reptile, and it's got a bony tail like a reptile. And when paleontologists found it, they said, okay, is this thing a bird or is it a reptile? And they kind of went back and forth, and finally they said, we think it's a bird. But it showed some amazing evidence for the fact that dinosaurs evolved and that birds evolved from dinosaurs. So I'm going to come back to that. Hold on to that. I actually have a secret to share with you, and I'll bet most of the young people here already know the secret, and I'll bet you most of the adults here don't know the secret, but we'll see. You can tell me. We are now moving into the Cretaceous time period, so we're going to get on the dinosaur train here and head right to the Cretaceous. And the most famous dinosaur is what? T-Rex. How many people here would say T-Rex is their favorite dinosaur? Go ahead, don't be shy. Any age, you can put your hand up. A bunch of you. Almost everywhere I go, people will say T-Rex. So T-Rex only lived in North America. T-Rex is the biggest carnivorous animal ever to live on land, and I already know there's kids in here that think I'm wrong, and I'll get to that in a minute. Almost 50 feet long, weighed about 5 to 6 tons, absolutely incredible, and could run probably faster than you can run. So, kind of a frightening thing, right? But T-Rex was there, and T-Rex is a carnivore or a herbivore? Yeah. T-Rex eats meat. What does T-Rex eat? Just about anything it wants to. But back then, it ate Triceratops. And we know that T-Rex ate Triceratops because we have found Triceratops fossils with teeth marks in them from T-Rex. So we know for sure that they at least ate Triceratops, and we think they probably hunted Triceratops as well. So Triceratops is this amazing animal, the biggest head of any land-living animal ever, about 10 feet long. So just the head is taller than I am by a few feet, just the head. So you can imagine being a T-Rex and trying to take on an animal like that. Not a simple thing, but we're quite confident that T-Rex did this. It may have hunted in groups like lions do or wolves do to take down one of these Triceratops. They may have gone after the young animals or the old or the sick or the wounded, but we know that they ate Triceratops. So, this is one of the favorite dinosaurs of many kids today. Who's going to tell me what this is? Thank you. Spinosaurus, with this large spine or sail on its back. And many of the kids in this room who know a lot about dinosaurs will tell me, and they will not be shy about telling me, Spinosaurus is bigger than T-Rex. You were wrong. T-Rex isn't the biggest carnivore. And in one way, they're right. Spinosaurus probably did grow to be slightly longer than T-Rex. But T-Rex was beefy and muscular and weighed tons more than Spinosaurus. So people always say, okay, Dr. Scott, who would win in a fight, T-Rex or Spinosaurus? And many kids will arm wrestle me to the ground and say it had to be Spinosaurus because they've watched Jurassic Park movies or whatever. But I will tell you as a paleontologist, there is no competition. It's T-Rex every day of the week. Even if you tied one of its little arms behind its back, T-Rex would take that. Spinosaurus, this is an animal that eats fish. Some people think it was even specially adapted to swim and to catch fish underwater, to swim with them and catch them. But Spinosaurus wouldn't have been able to take on a T-Rex. The interesting thing is they never met in real life. Spinosaurus lived before, and it lived in Europe and in Africa, not in North America like T-Rex. So this is a kind of dinosaur. It's another one of these sauropods, or brontosaurs. It's got spines on its neck. It's called a Margosaurus. It's only known from Argentina in southern South America. And it probably used those spikes to show off, kind of like the plates of a Stegosaurus or the horns on a Triceratops. And this picture actually depicts them using them to show off, to try and attract a mate or intimidate a rival, things like that. So those big sauropods lived not only in the Jurassic, they continued through the Cretaceous all the way until the dinosaurs basically disappeared, with one exception I'll come back to, 66 million years ago. Okay, anyone know this dinosaur? Close. Do you say Maiasaura? It's very close, so we're going to come back to Maiasaura. Any other ideas? Say again. One more time. Very close. Yeah. This is probably Lambeosaurus, but it's really close to what you said, Corythosaurus. And they have these crazy crests on their head. And some of them were even crazier. Imagine if every time you breathe in through your nose, the air went back feet behind your head in a tube, and then it curled around and came back down to your mouth. That's what happened with Parasaurolophus, a name that every kid can say and almost no adults can say. Parasaurolophus. They would breathe in through the nose, and then it would go all the way to the back of the crest, turn around, and come back to the mouth. So what the heck is that about? Why would you have a giant crest? Probably for showing off, and probably for communicating. We think that those crests acted kind of like a trombone. You blow in, and it creates this very low-frequency sound that can travel a long way. Parasaurolophus likely had that as well. And just like elephants do, that could trumpet, and other elephants can hear it from a long distance, we think Parasaurolophus could do that as well. Now, one of the kids over here mentioned Maiasaura. Maiasaura means good mother lizard, and this is a Maiasaura standing over its nest. This animal is only known from Montana, but probably lived in northern North America. And we know for certain that they laid eggs in nests, about 30 eggs, and the eggs are about this big. And they laid about 30 eggs, and they couldn't sit on the eggs because they break them if they tried, like a bird might sit on them. So they would probably bring vegetation over and drop it on the nest. And as the vegetation rotted, it would produce heat and keep the eggs incubated. Pretty cool. And we've found nests like this. Absolutely crazy. I've worked in a place in Montana. I ran a camp in Montana where I was looking for a nest, and I never found a full nest. And one day, this little boy, 9, 10 years old, comes up to me and he says, "Dr. Scott, I'm going to go find a Maiasaura nest today. And I said, good on you, man. Like, good luck. I've never found one, but you never know, right? Later in the day, I'm digging on something that's not going anywhere, and I hear this kid's dad call me over and say, hey, Dr. Scott, come here. And I come over, and sure enough, this kid has found a complete Maiasaura nest with about 30 fossilized eggs in it. To this day, I never did. And this kid it was his first day looking for fossils. He had some connection with somebody, I don't know. Anyway, really cool. Now, my favorite group of dinosaurs are not the stegosaurs. My favorite group are the horned dinosaurs, also known as ceratopsians. We've talked about Triceratops, which has one horn on each eye and one on the nose. This is an animal that's kind of similar. I have had the pleasure of naming more horned dinosaurs than anybody alive. And we called, thank you, it's actually total honor, and there were teams of people involved. It wasn't just me. It was really great. But we called this animal Utah Ceratops. You probably can guess where he's from, right? And we found him in southern Utah. And in the same place, we found an animal that looks a lot like a bull, these horns that curve around. We called him Nasutoceratops. And then, I did not find it, but I had the chance to name it, and I had the chance to dig another one up. My favorite dinosaur is this one, known as Cosmoceratops. Now, Triceratops, one horn on the nose, one over each eye. Cosmoceratops blows it away, 15 horns on its head. One on the nose, one over each eye, one on each cheek, and 10 across the back of the frill. Now, it is not using all those horns to try and beat up on tyrannosaurs. They curve over, they'd be lousy weapons. They're probably using them to show off, just like deer do and antelope do with their antlers and horns, respectively. The same was almost certainly true of Cosmoceratops. That does not mean to say, though, that they did not have to worry about predators. They did. In the same area where we found all these horned dinosaurs, and they literally are from the same area in southern Utah, we found this animal. We called him Lythronax, which means the king of gore, because he was a predator. And Lythronax was about 30 feet long, from the family of tyrannosaurs, but lived millions of years before Tyrannosaurus rex. So you might think that if you were 30 feet long and you had teeth like this, and you could run faster than all the animals that you prey on, that you might think that would be pretty invincible, like nothing could touch a Lythronax. But if you thought that, you would be wrong. In this world, there were predators that were bigger than Lythronax that were not dinosaurs. So I want you to imagine just for a minute that you are a Lythronax. You are 30 feet long. You run around on two legs. You have hundreds of teeth in your mouth that are sharp and serrated. And you are thirsty. And the only way you're going to get water is to go down to the water hole. So you go down to the water hole, and as you get closer, you start to get nervous because you have an idea about what might be in there. And you get closer. Keep in mind, you're a 30-foot long meat-eating dinosaur, and you get your head down close to the water, and this comes out. There were crocodiles in the age of dinosaurs that were 50 feet long, that would sit there and wait for dinosaurs to come down for a drink. And this crocodile, Deinosuchus, doesn't care whether you eat plants or meat. It doesn't care that you're 30 feet long. In fact, that's a good thing if you're Deinosuchus. And so you had to worry about animals like that in the age of dinosaurs. Absolutely amazing. Way bigger than any crocodiles today. Okay, how many people have seen Jurassic Park? Put your hand up. The dinosaur velociraptor in Jurassic Park, how big do you think it was? Yeah, it would probably look me in the eye, right? That's what they do in the movie. No. Velociraptor was a little taller than a chicken. I'm sorry, I don't mean to blow your bubble here, but Velociraptor was a little taller than a chicken. It was covered in feathers. It was closer to a screaming chicken than anything else. You could probably kick a Velociraptor and get him out of there. That's the good news. The bad news is there were other kinds of raptors out there other than Velociraptor. This one is called Oviraptor. The name means egg thief. It was thought to have been a dinosaur that stole eggs of other dinosaurs until we found the mama buried on top of her nest trying to protect it in a desert windstorm, a sandstorm. So they were actually good mothers as well, and they used their feathers to keep eggs warm. Oviraptor stood about this tall. And then they found a raptor dinosaur in Utah. Very creative. They called it Utah Raptor. Utah Raptor would look me right in the eye. It would be the Velociraptor from the movies, just like that. But it doesn't end there. In Asia, in China, they found a raptor whose head is about 16 feet in the air. So imagine a raptor that's like 20 feet long and 16 feet high and can outrun you like that. That's Gigantoraptor. So there were raptors of all sizes in the Cretaceous especially. And again, it doesn't matter how big you are. All dinosaurs were born small that came from eggs. So you would have had to worry about animals like Gigantoraptor. And you'll notice that they all have feathers. Oviraptor, Velociraptor, Gigantoraptor has feathers. There was another dinosaur that is, does this remind you of any other kind of animal living today? Yeah, reminds you of an ostrich. It's called Ornithomimus, which means bird mimic. And this reconstruction is wrong. It was made before we knew that these dinosaurs had feathers. Ornithomimus was probably among the fastest dinosaurs, just like ostriches can run about 40 miles an hour. Ornithomimus probably could too. And we have evidence that these dinosaurs were omnivores. They ate plants and meat, just like us. And they're, again, all over Asia, all over North America, different kinds of these ostrich mimic dinosaurs. And then, if that wasn't weird enough, imagine taking a gorilla and mixing it with an ostrich. And then, for those of you closer to my age, you may remember the show Edward Scissorhands. So imagine mixing a gorilla, an ostrich, and Edward Scissorhands, and this is what you get. This is a Therizinosaurus, big pot belly, really slow, probably ate plants and meat, maybe mostly plants, but it has these claws that are this long. Just the claw on the hand is that long. And it probably had those claws to fend off those carnivores because it couldn't outrun them. And again, all over North America and Asia, we find these Therizinosaurs, which are the strangest animals ever. So they evolved from carnivores, raptors, but then they became plant eaters. Really crazy animals. We have also found a lot of animals that, just like Archaeopteryx, we're not sure if they're birds or dinosaurs. And there's still lots of debate amongst the paleontologists. This animal called Anchiornis, it's from China. It was the first dinosaur that we reconstructed the color of. For years, I would tell people that we have no idea what color dinosaurs are. And we will never know, because all we got are the bones and the teeth. I was wrong. I should have known that some smart young woman paleontologist would come along and figure out a way to reconstruct the colors of the feathers. And that's what happened. It turns out they looked at bird feathers and they went down to the cells, and it turns out those cells tell you what color the feathers are in modern birds. So then they go back and they look at the cells or the small structures in the feathers of dinosaurs, and they could reconstruct the color. So this is what Anchiornis really looked like in life, with those color patterns. And Anchiornis is not a bird, it's a dinosaur. But it could probably fly, so it's a flying dinosaur. And it's not the only one. There was another one, Microraptor, also from China, that had 4 wings. So imagine being a dinosaur and you have wings on your arms and wings on your legs, and they help you fly. Now, we're not sure if it could actually do flapping flight or if it just would glide from tree to tree, but it could definitely spend time in the air. And these are just a few examples of the weird and wonderful dinosaurs that nobody had any clue about when I was a kid. But kids growing up today understand that many dinosaurs were bird-like and had feathers. So I'm going to wrap up by telling you my secret. And my secret is that dinosaurs are not extinct. I know, I get it here. What? There are more kinds of dinosaurs alive today than there are mammals. We call them, what do we call them? Birds, thank you. We call them birds. Yes, this is an eagle, a bald eagle. It is also a dinosaur. It has bony features just like dinosaurs that evolved from little raptor dinosaurs. This is a living dinosaur. Dinosaurs did not go extinct 66 million years ago. Some birds survived and they spread out and they're still with us today. So, help me out here. I'm going to go through a few of these dinosaurs, and every time I show you one, I'm going to name the animal, and then you're going to say dinosaur. Are you up for that? All right. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. Eagle, and you say peacock, and you say, yeah, it's a dinosaur. Really? Owl? Absolutely a dinosaur. And if that wasn't weird enough, hummingbird? Dinosaur. Hummingbirds are in the same family of animals as T-Rex. It just weighs about 1/4 millionth as much as a T-Rex. So, if you like to eat chicken or turkey, guess what? You like to eat dinosaurs. And if you want to learn more about dinosaurs and maybe even study them, you don't have to do like I did and go to university for 10 years and travel to far-off lands and live in a tent for months at a time and hang out with people you may not even like and eat the same food every day. You don't have to do all that. All you have to do is open up the front door and step outside, because those dinosaurs are there waiting for you. They're there. And you can learn about dinosaurs by learning about birds. Pretty amazing. So what are birds? They are backyard dinosaurs. And I hope that you will think about that the next time you see those birds, and maybe you'll even decide to plant some native plants which attract native insects, which attract birds, especially songbirds. And everybody likes songbirds. And even if all you have is a windowsill where you live, you can plant some native plants which will bring those insects and birds so you get to enjoy the dinosaurs on your front doorstep. All right, that is it for me today. I'm going to be here. If you want to come up and tell me your dinosaur story, you can do that. I'm going to be signing some Dr. Scott pictures here. And if that wasn't enough, we have a very, very special guest who is just about to walk into the room that some of you might know as Buddy the T-Rex from Dinosaur Train, which is pretty darn awesome. Buddy is my buddy, and we're thrilled to have Buddy here at Cal Academy. He came all the way from the late Cretaceous to be here today. So if you want to get a chance to meet Buddy and have your picture taken with him, well, this is the best chance you're probably ever going to get. Hey, Buddy, how's it going? Nice to see you. All right. So, thank you all very, very, very much for being here. Have a wonderful Academy Day. We're thrilled to host you. Happy Academy Day, everybody. And